Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Come along on this walk from down by Mango Square up to the IT Park area in Cebu City, Cebu, the Philippines. We'll talk a little bit about the news, the weather, and some other thoughts. And one thing I'd like to say is that I really appreciate everybody who checks in on my channel, watches the videos. Because of the algorithms at Google and YouTube, it is important going forward that people like like videos, comment on videos, even if you just say hello or something. Comments have to do with how they promote your video down the way. Anyway, this is walking towards Ayala Mall, and then from Ayala Mall over to IT Park, and this guy here is collecting leaves off the ground, and when asked why he's doing that, he rolls his cigarettes with those leaves. He buys the tobacco, which you can buy in bulk. You can buy big bunches of tobacco leaves, or tobacco leaves, and roll it up and smoke it. So that's what he was doing. And these guys at the gas station, they say, no, things are pretty slow. Not selling very much petrol these days. And here on the left side of the street, walking up, I think that's Gerardo Avenue in Cebu. They've got a couple developments there. They've got the suites on Gerardo, at Gerardo, going up, condominium units, I believe. Probably mixed use, commercial and residential, not absolutely positive. And then next to that, there's another development called Cityscape. Condominiums. Cityscape has two different towers presently. They have a tower down near Mango Square, and they have a tower over near, well, right inside of Mandaue City, very close to the Cebu City, Mandaue City separation. And I think most of their units are studio units, Cityscape. Not sure about the new one. I think they may be expanding into some larger units as well. And we're getting right up next to the Cebu Business District that is owned by Ayala, big developer of commercial and residential properties in the Philippines. And they are this whole Cebu business area is where the Ayala big Mall is, the big Ayala Mall. And of course, they are closed except for two grocery stores there. There's two there, the Metro grocery store and the Ruston's grocery store. So you have two options there. We're also going to come across a motorbike accident down the road a bit, and a couple motorcycles got into it. You wouldn't think that would happen with so little traffic now, but indeed, I guess they think that some think that, well, there's nothing coming, no traffic, so I can just do a U-turn any place I want. Didn't happen exactly as planned, and so we'll look at that here in a little bit. Anyway, IT Park it's kind of like a city within a city. It's a big commercial area, residential area. It's a little bit different than the Cebu Business District. It is full of call centers, BPOs, business processing outsourcing centers. Almost every time I call a credit card company or bank company customer service, I end up talking to somebody in the Philippines, even though I'm calling an 800 number in the USA. And the Philippines offers well-educated English-speaking people, so they have their BPO industry is growing rapidly over the years. One reason for the rapid growth in the Philippines and many of the cities have centers like that. Manila and Cebu City and Iloilo City, Bacolod City, Davao, and others have towers going up, and those workers going in and taking care of business across the world. I met one lady once. They had taught her to speak Spanish, and she was handling customer service for Spain. So building there on the left, way down there, left center, is called Avenir. That is I did a video about that. They let me in there when it was still under construction. They even took me up to the very top roof deck area. Had to use a hard hat, and I did a video or two about that. And now that I'm talking about that, you can all check out. I've got over 600 videos online, many of them reviews of condominiums, hotels, a few resorts, mostly condominiums. And I started doing that when real estate agents started grabbing me in the malls and taking me out and say, come and see my condominium right now. I always carried a video camera with me and took some video, found out that many people were interested in that. As I was when I first came to the Philippines in 2015, I was asking people, what part of town should I live in? What's available? And nobody could give me an answer. What the heck is this? Kites. I'm seeing lots of kites recently. Actually, the battery went on low battery and automatically switches over to high speed apparently. Look at those blue skies. Look at those blue skies. And it's warmer. Out we have most of the Philippines is in what they call summer season, and it's when our northeast winds turn more easterly and we get clearer skies and it warms up a couple degrees. And you wouldn't think that would be that much warmer, but it is. When you get close to the temperature of the human body, a couple degrees, 3-4 degrees Celsius, makes a big difference. And so you go from maybe 30 and 31 degrees on up to 34 and 35 degrees Celsius. So let's see, 35 degrees is I think about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So when you get close to 95 versus closer to 80, 88, 89 degrees Fahrenheit, makes a big difference. It feels much hotter. And there again depends on if you have a breeze, depends on what the humidity is. But we're in this summer season for a couple of months. There are actually about 4 different types of climate here in the Philippines. Basically, the temperature doesn't change very much at all year long through the day and through the evening. It drops in the evening, of course, a little bit. But even as unless you go up in elevation, that's about the only way you get into cooler temperatures, go up in the mountains. More and more people are moving down by Dumaguete, up the mountains, up to Valencia, for instance. Other parts of the Philippines where they have developments up around the mountains. And here's that accident, 2 motorbikes. And apparently my friend is taking, I'm not allowed out. I'm restricted, so she has a pass, so she's walking up to IT Park to get some items there. About a 3-kilometer walk, and she come across this accident, and lots of people stopped. I don't know if they saw the accident and they stopped to help, or they're helping report the accident, what the deal is there. I am told that there were no major injuries in that accident, fortunately. That is the good part. Back to the weather and news here. About June, usually, sometimes the first week, sometimes the second week, we start getting the winds change again, and we start getting our southwest monsoons, and we'll start getting more rain, which is good. Last year we went through a drought here. There are some areas still in the Cebu City metro area that have to have water hauled in. Different parts of the Philippines, probably the same. I've read that the dams where most of the water comes from for Manila are full enough to take us into that June area, which is the good news. Also, the good news, crime is down over 50% in many areas, and I think that's partly because there's so much military and checkpoints around. But so, same point, every day I read, and here's the entrance to IT Park. I read that another drug dealer was caught here, another uh, drug dealer was caught here, and so much shabu, methamphetamines were confiscated here and there. So they haven't let up. They do a lot of buy bust type operations. I think one other thing is that as the populace as a whole uh, understand that law enforcement is making a big dent in the drug scene, that they're starting to inform on the people in their neighborhoods, and same with the NPA, the armed wing of the Communist Party that is operating different parts of the more remote areas, usually up in the mountains of different islands. The people are reporting them. Same thing with the Islamic extremists, mostly down in South and West Mindanao. People are reporting if they get strangers in their neighborhood and they're not sure who they are, and these are other Muslims who are informing upon the extremists, the strangers in their neighborhood. So those are some good things that are happening going forward. Now the economy here. A few days ago, I did a video, and the reports that they were still expecting the economy in the Philippines to grow. Now the latest figures are that there will probably be no growth, zero growth, or even a bit negative growth this year economically. Uh, Hopefully things will get back to normal relatively quickly. We've got to sit and wait and find out. Hopefully everybody can recover fairly quickly after we get through this. Many of the fast food restaurants are open for takeout service. You cannot sit down in the restaurant and eat. So you can either call in your order and have it delivered, or stop in, walk in, order, and but you have to leave with it. You can't sit down there and eat. But anyway, you've got a number of condominium units, a lot of commercial buildings, restaurants, donut shops, and other commercial buildings, banks, many banks here. You've got a big fitness center. Uh, just a big look around here. This is a Asia Premier here residences. I've done one or two videos about that. Condominiums. They're larger than your average condominium. A lot of decent sized one bedrooms, well furnished, and generally you pay a little bit more for that. A well furnished, good restaurant, nice pool up on one of the upper floors. And they have a number of drugstores and other things. Now with the Ayala Mall here open, and that is being populated with different stores, you also have many of things right here in IT Park that you used to have to go out to find. You have to go to Ayala Mall or SM Mall or many of the other malls in town. And Cebu City does have many malls. Um, the other condominiums, you have Avida towers. You have two towers that are about 5 years old, I think. And I know a number of people who've lived in them for a few years. They like it over there. They like everything in this area, having everything so convenient. So Avida, and then there's new Avida Reala towers. I think two of those towers, two of about 4 or 5 additional towers, are two of them are open presently, and then they're continue to build and finish out the others. And then there's Calyx Tower condominium, which again I think is 5+ years old. Very nice condominiums. I've done videos in there. There are a number of hotels off to the side, kind of inside of the park area, and a new one or two being built also. So that right there, which says Metro, that is part of the new Ayala Mall. I watched that being built actually. I rented a condominium for 17 months overlooking the park over on the way down to the left here, and I watched them build much of this. I finally moved away because many of the restaurants they built out in the park area, they would put their big speakers outside and crank up the noise, and it got to a point where it just was too much. I talked to them about lowering the volume a couple times. They really weren't interested in whether the noise bothered me or not, so I just moved away. They have built a new jeepney terminal and bus terminal right inside of IT Park. That surprised me. Back about December when this mall opened, I noticed that across the street they were just trying to finish up the building of that, and they have a number of buses that stop on the street. I think they have a little bit of room inside of that area where buses can pull into and go different directions. So that is continues to be a work in progress. So it's pretty interesting. The changes that I've seen in the last 4+ years that I've lived here, and this whole IT Park area is quite interesting. Actually, it's not that far to walk to Ayala Mall, or taxis are usually quite easy to pick up here. They know that there's lots of people, business people coming and going, and it's a completely different atmosphere than many other parts of Cebu City or other cities, because it's a commercial district within a city, basically, and a lot of working people. You go to the restaurants, and it's not people shopping, it's the working people that are taking their break. So just a different atmosphere, and they're still building out stores in here. Of course, with the present situation, most of them are closed. What is happening in your part of the world? I'd be interested to find out. I will do a different video about some of the things happening here. There was over the past year, the African swine fever issue that where they had to cull or kill, I think, millions of pigs in China, and that has spread to other countries. So they've killed many of the hogs in this country as well. And then so many of the farmers, what do? Well, many of the farmers took up chicken farming, and then what has happened with all the restaurants, so many of the restaurants closing down, the schools closing down, the demand for chickens, you have this big additional source of chickens with more chicken farmers out there, and all of a sudden the economy shuts down, and so there's less demand. So now the price of chickens is way down, so people are dropping out of that industry. So there is some concern that now here is people are lining up. This case where people are lining up a meter or so apart. They've got chairs out there for them. I think lineup of chairs to get in to probably the metro, the grocery store there, and the line was too long, so she decided not to wait and go in. But look at that! Look at those chairs on a busy day. Those would be full of people, and they only let so many people in the store at a time. So you just grab a chair and then move up every few minutes. I think she actually went to the bank and paid the rent at the bank, BPI Bank, and she got there right before closing, and still took her, I think she said 50 minutes, almost an hour, waiting outside for the people ahead of her to transact their business in the bank. And I think the bank was good enough to stay open a little bit longer and take care of the extra people who were sitting out there. Is the IT Park an entertainment area? Does it have bars and entertainment? There are a small number of bars, I would say, and there are that have entertainment, that have bands. There are a few kind of there's a park within IT Park. There's another park area with lots of restaurants, and they've got a Mercado, another eating a place with many food stands that's open, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now from 5 p.m. To 1 or so in the morning. And they will have somebody singing a lot of those nights on stage. But I wouldn't really call it an entertainment area. The social, which also has bars in Ayala and a couple other malls. They have some entertainment. They have a pretty good band in there. A couple times I've been down there. I've met friends who live in IT Park and meet them for a beer down there. Different bars. They have another place that has serves alcohol, and it is a bar. It's a they've got pool tables and sports channels on. So it takes a while to wander around here. First couple times I came in here back in probably 2016, came in to do videos, and I had my little camera, and after wandering around the park a while, a security guy ran up to me and said, "Sir, you're not allowed to take video in IT Park." And I said, "Yeah, gosh, people do it all the time with their phones." And he said, "Well, it's allowed if you're using your phone, but not with a camera." So anyway, we had a nice chat, nice friendly guy. And then I left, and a couple months later, I happened to be, because I always carry a video camera with me, happened to be in there, and there were some things I didn't have video of, so I was doing a little video again. And I think you're always on camera. Security's always watching you, kind of like Vegas. Lots of cameras, lots of people, even undercover, probably watching you. What are you doing? And anyway, he come running up to me and he says, "You again? Last time you had a yellow camera." So anyway, we went through that little process again. Yes, you can take video with a phone, but not with a camera. So anyway, that building right there, the tall one right there, center right, is Calyx. That is the Calyx condominium there. Most of the rest of these buildings are commercial buildings, call centers, and corporate buildings. Many of you know that I walk. I tend to walk a lot. I like walking, and I see so much. You interact with so many more people when you're walking. And many Filipinos often say, "Sir, it's too far. You can't walk that far." And today my friend walked about 3 kilometers up here, which is about 2 miles. And it's hot out, and then she's buying groceries and walking home with those things, so 6, 7 kilometers in the end. She's doing a very good job taking the video, and but she's starting to understand how enjoyable it is to walk, and how much more you see. She's starting to see, even though she's lived in Cebu City most of her life, she hasn't seen most of Cebu City until she was forced to go out and start walking just to get food. And I know a lot of people don't, for different physical reasons. You don't want to get out and walk. You don't handle the heat as well. There are actually many evenings, many days and evenings that the temperature here is actually uh, very pleasant. If there's a breeze and it's cooled down, it can get down in the 70s in some evenings, and it actually feels cool to me. This is the Sentinel condominium. If you go down that street right next to it, you go back in. That's where Grand Residences is, and the Sentinel there is an older condominium, and I almost moved in there, but the lady would not reduce the rent. And back when they built much larger sized condominiums, so you have much larger condominiums in there. Some of them look older because they are older, haven't been kept up nearly as much as they should, but the one I looked at was actually quite nice. This is Kasambagan public market out here, and very nice market, very well kept up along the street. And oftentimes I'll go down to Carbone Market, the big Carbone Market. Many of these people go down there, 2 to 5 in the morning, and they buy their produce and they bring it back here to sell. Of course, they have to mark that up, but oftentimes your local market is more convenient. If they mark something up, if you could buy it for 20 pesos per kilo at Carbon Market, maybe they sell it for 30, 35 pesos per kilo here. Well, oftentimes your local market, you don't have the transportation cost, so it's easier just to come up here and get your stuff here. A little bit further down this road is Gaisano Country Mall. I used to walk there often when I lived near IT Park. It uh, was about the same distance as Ayala Mall, but it's a nice change sometimes. It is a smaller mall. And this is walking back towards the city again. You have a bar over here called Morals and Malice. More of a I don't know how to put it. Most of the people, I've seen a couple videos of people in here, and this is Crossroads. Lots of restaurants in here, and a couple places where you can rent space to work on, run your business. They are closed. The Maya restaurant is in there. Abaca restaurant is in there. One of the best omelets I've had in town. The best omelet I've had in town, Abaca. And they've got a number of stores in the malls and other areas as well. As I think they've got one or two places over in IT Park. But this is a checkpoint here. I think this particular barangay, they had somebody who tested positive, so they're not allowing anybody in or out of that barangay, and that's how they're keeping control on the movement and the spread. And here's a guy delivering water into the barangay. But the local government officials, you give them a list. Basically, you give them a list of what you need, they'll go get it. Where right now, many people have passes, they can go. If you've got somebody positive in your particular densely populated barangay, like that one, I think had probably two entrances, two entrances, and the same exits. And nobody's allowed out. You're pretty much locked down, and I mean locked down. And then this is back walking through the Ayala area again, the Cebu Business Park. Many condominiums. I've had a number of people ask me, what part of Cebu City should I live in? And I usually say, without knowing more about their budget and what they're looking for, I usually say, well, there's IT Park that has a number of, has at least 3 different condominium projects in it, in different price ranges. And then there's the Cebu Business District, the whole area around Ayala Mall. Many condominiums, some older condominiums, they tend to be, and there again, the older condominiums usually are larger in size, more square meters, square feet, and lots of new ones here. Solinia, Avalon, many choices anyway, and you can go online and search those types of things. But you pretty much have anything and everything you need right here at IT Park, or right here in Cebu Business District. You have the restaurants and the department stores. Rustin's is a food store, but they also have many floors of department store type thing, clothing, and then there's hardware stores in the mall that I think most of those are closed presently. Pharmacies are open. Pharmacies, food stores, restaurants for takeout, and then all the security people, the nurses, the hospitals, of course. I still hear ambulances occasionally, but very little traffic. Look at that, just empty streets. And those are condominiums there. They're on the right up there, and they're on the left. I believe that's condominium as well. Anyway, please comment on the video and like the video and share the video. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and certainly do everything you can to stay safe and healthy. And like here's the Avalon. And I'll see you next time.